Hello everyone, and welcome to the 9th video to Christmas.
Today we are going to be looking at 9 different movies that we enjoy watching over the Christmas season.
I am Peter.
And I am Kelly, and this is our four-legged companion Maya.
We are a couple from Edmonton, Alberta,
And we are here to share some authentic tales of our married life together
as we strive to honor God through the trials and the triumphs
and deepen our relationship with one another along the way. So to kick us off on our 9 movies, I'm going to start with one of my favorites. It's White Christmas. So this is a 1954 American musical film directed by Michael Curtis, starring Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, and Vera Ellen. So this was a tradition when I was growing up that we would watch it on Christmas Eve every year with my dad and my aunt and uncle. It's full of music and dance, which I love, and I think my favorite scene in the movie would be the last scene, and that's where misunderstandings are mended. There's a much needed snowfall that happens in Vermont, and the song by Irving Berlin, White Christmas, is sung by the cast, which is one of my all-time favorite songs. So,
moving on to number 8, we have National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Christmas Vacation was directed by Jeremiah Chechik and written by John Hughes. In 1998, the film follows Clark as he attempts to deliver the most fun-filled family Christmas ever. And as all the extended family begin to arrive, Clark becomes obsessed with ensuring everything goes right. However, after a number of things go wrong, and with the final blow of the Christmas bonus being cut, he gets a little crazed. One reason I really like this film, and I guess this is your first time watching it?
This was my first time watching it this year.
This year? Nice. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Clark gets locked upstairs in his attic, and it's pretty cold because it's open, so he starts to dress up in these old clothes that he finds just lying around and all over upstairs.
Women's robes and
little hat thing and whatnot, but as he's doing that, he actually finds a projector and some old tapes, so he plugs them in, and it just so happens that they're of him when he was much younger, so he gets to watch and view all these old Christmas videos of him having a fun time and stuff and enjoying it. So I think that's probably why he really wants to get a nice Christmas for everyone. So
moving on to number 7, we have, drumroll, the Die Hard film series. Now I know what you're thinking. Die Hard. This is not really a Christmas movie. It's full of profanity and violence. But there's a reason it made our list, and I'll explain that. But just a little bit of information about it. It is an American action film series that originated with Roderick Thorpe's novel, Nothing Lasts Forever. And all 5 films revolve around the main character, John McClane, who is a New York City, Los Angeles police detective who continually finds himself in the middle of crises where he's the only one that can avert disaster from happening. So it makes our list because, not necessarily because of the content of the movie, but because it's a way that we honor a loved one who has passed. So my aunt loves the Hallmark made-for-TV movies, the really romantic, mushy type ones like that. And when my uncle was still with us, he would watch them with her because he loved her, but they were really not his cup of tea. So, so what he got was to be able to watch the Die Hard films in compensation, I guess, for having to endure the fluffy romantic movies that were the ones that she liked to watch. So every year we pick a Die Hard movie and we just watch that to honor him.
For number 6, we have, I don't know if I'll say drum roll, Home Alone. And I know there's quite a few Home Alone parts or numbers and stuff, but I'm just going to talk about the number 1. So Home Alone is a 1990 American Christmas family comedy written by John Hughes and Chris Columbus. And it follows an 8-year-old, Kevin, who must defend his home from 2 burglars, Harry and Marv, after Kevin's family accidentally leaves him behind on their vacation. We started watching the Home Alone movies by the request of our daughter, Miss Sadie, and we found them to have a nice, refreshing family movie to watch at Christmas. My favorite scene is when the 2 burglars, Harry and Marv, break into the house, but are met with a variety of different booby traps that they fall prey to. So, and I think I could just laugh for the whole 10 minutes of that scene that goes on, but it's just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. So it's kind of silly, but you really got to be in the mood for these kind of shows, so it's pretty nice.
So moving on to number 5, we have The Sound of Music, which is a favorite of mine, not so much of Peter's. But it's a 1965 American musical drama. It's produced by Robert Wise and stars Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. And the premise of the movie is basically about a young Australian postulant, which is, from what I understand, a person that's preparing to become a nun. And her name is Maria, and she's sent to a villa of a retired naval officer and widower to be his governess, so to take care of his children, basically, his 7 children. And after bringing love and music into their lives, she ends up marrying the officer, and together with the children, they flee their homeland to avoid persecution from the Nazis. So this is predominantly one of my favorite movies because of the romance and the music involved in it. There's quite a bit of music. My favorite song in the movie is My Favorite Things. That was on our songs episode, top songs episode. But my favorite scene in the movie is when the children perform for the guests of their father during a Christmas party in their home. And they perform the song So Long Farewell, which they sing as they head off to bed for the evening.
Number 4 on our list is Gremlins. Gremlins is a 1984 American comedy horror film by Chris Columbus and directed by Joe Dante. And the story follows a young man who receives a strange creature who transforms, called a mogwai, as a pet, which then spawns other creatures who transform into small, destructive, evil little monsters. Christmas. Let's see here. So, this movie was just introduced last year into our movies to watch, and it surprisingly, like Die Hard, found on many Christmas movie lists out there. My favorite scene in the movie is when the Gremlins are actually in the movie theater, and they're all tossing popcorn and sitting around and doing whatever the case is. Then all of a sudden, the movie that was accidentally gets played by them is Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. So then the music comes on for hi ho, it's home from work we'd go, and then all of a sudden all the gremlins, the creatures kind of thing, start singing along to this song, and it's just very funny, very hilarious. So it's one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
So number 3 on our list is Four Christmases. So this movie starts out a little bit cynical, with a couple lying to avoid having to spend Christmas with their family. But then it comes around in the end as they recognize the importance of family and how they are always part of us. So Four Christmases is also known as Four Holidays or Anywhere But Home in some territories. It's a 2008 Christmas comedy drama film about a couple visiting all 4 of their divorced parents' homes over the holidays. It stars Vince Van Gogh and Reese Witherspoon, and was directed by Seth Gordon and produced by New Line Cinemas and Spyglass Entertainment. It was released in 2008, day before Thanksgiving, and my favorite scene, I think, is, it happens twice, actually, in the film. First, when Brad, who is Vince Van Gogh, he's playing the character Brad, when his girlfriend, played by Reese Witherspoon, is holding a baby, and all of a sudden it spits up all over her, and he's sitting next to her, and he just uncontrollably starts to gag and says, "I can't be around you. You have to get away from me. Get away from me. I can't do this." And he's just gagging so uncontrollably. And then again, at the end of the film, when he and his girlfriend, then wife, have their own child, and they're in the hospital, and instead of spitting up on Reese Witherspoon, she spits up on him, and it's the same sort of reaction. Oh my goodness, I can't be here, I can't do this. So I just find it hilarious.
Number 2 on our list, it'll be a little bit different, but it is Lord of the Rings. And I know there's 3 different movies of Lord of the Rings, but we'll get into it. So I know it's not really a Christmas movie, and you would be right, but it's one of our traditions we have in the house, and it actually started from our pastor, and you know who you are. So we watch them. So,
but our pastor, leading up to Christmas, probably starting in early to mid-November, many of his sermons have analogs with the films. So he's using lots of examples and creating analogs and different things from the films. And he and his family watch Lord of the Rings as well during the Christmas season. So.
Well, he actually reads the books with his family and everything too.
Reads the books as well.
So he has a lot more detail than we do just watching the movies.
Yes.
But The Lord of the Rings is a film series with 3 different movies, which were written by J.R.R. Tolkien. And the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, and The Return of the King. And my favorite out of the 3 is the Two Towers. Could go on to why, but I'll just explain a little bit about my favorite part, because my favorite part in the series really isn't one favorite part. It's a combination of all 3 of the movies, but it's more so just watching the relationship develop between Gimli, who's a dwarf, and Legolas, who's an elf. And to know the history between dwarves and elves, which goes back generations and generations, they hate each other, despise each other. But I found it super interesting just to watch the development of their friendship. And by, I don't know what part of the first, second, or third movie kind of thing, but they would do anything for each other.
So finally, number 1 on our list, to stay with not necessarily Christmas movies, but movies we do watch during Christmas time, and to kind of continue from Lord of the Rings, we have the Hobbit films. So another film series, there's 3 of them. The Unexpected Journey, The Desolation of Smaug, and The Battle of the Five Armies. So this is a series that was created after Lord of the Rings, but it's actually a prelude to Lord of the Rings. So the Hobbit's books were also written by J.R.R. Tolkien, and they were to precede kind of the Lord of the Rings. So we typically end up watching Lord of the Rings and then the Hobbit, just because that's how they were released. But they're both great and whatnot. So one of my favorite scenes, my favorite of the 3 movies is The Desolation of Smaug. And the scene that I most enjoy is when it's called the barrel fight scene, and it takes place just after the dwarves have escaped from the wood elves prison. And they're being pursued by orcs and the elves, but more so orcs. And I love when the elf Tariel, a female elf, enters and she saves Keely, one of the dwarves, from an impending orc attack. And that allows him to be able to pull the lever and open the gates for his fellow dwarves and one hobbit to escape from the palace. So I really like strong female characters, so that's one of my favorites, just seeing her up there going to town fighting for the dwarf that she loves. And and the rest of it's just a really cool epic battle between the orcs and the elves and dwarves, and axes and bow and arrows and swords, and it's just pretty epic. So
very nice.
So that is our top 9 movies that we watched during the Christmas season.
And we better get on that some more.
Yes, definitely. Time to kick back and turn one of them on.
There we go. So you guys have a great evening.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.